You're listening to Turning a Page on Good Morning Delhi with Sarthak.
And what a lovely thing you're doing, because listening usually brings in things that work as a meal for the brain, right? And what we're trying to do here, of course, is trying to seduce you into falling in love with the written word. And today's written word, of course, comes from a man who works with a very, very special liquor brand as well. But he's also a musician at heart. And of course, the mind is usually imprisoned in the rectangle of the Excel sheet. But the heart certainly beats for music and words. And today he's not here as a musician, actually. He's here as an author. His book is called Swallowed by the Sea. Life Unfiltered, Scarred, Amazingly Beautiful. Sanjit Phukan is here. And this book actually comes from a place of deep emotion, does it not, Sanjit?
Yeah, when my friends ask me why did I do this, I said, I've done this primarily because of two reasons. One is that there is a lot of conflict in the head.
Sure.
And then this is what saves me from that conflict.
For sure.
So if I have to put this in just two very simple words, first there is conflict, then there is resolution.
Right.
And the resolution comes through poetry. So I wrote a line there is that, what didn't kill you gave you poetry. So
that is true. What didn't kill you gave you poetry, because it's the rhythm of life that flows through these words.
Yeah,
no?
yeah, absolutely.
Was it a difficult process though, putting the chaos in the head and sort of structuring it into words that rhymed?
Once I got it, once I realized that the resolution can come through words, because it's normally me outside of myself,
sure,
writing for me,
right,
to save myself.
Of course,
right,
of course.
So once I got that formula, in a way that I can resolve conflicts in my head without having anyone to blame, for example, right? I could do it more free-flowingly.
Sure.
Not that I sit down to write. It just happens.
And why poetry though? I mean, why not free verse? Why not free prose rather? Why the verse?
There is prose also, but predominantly poetry, because I think there is a bit of mystery in poetry. You have not let out everything very explicitly. So what happens is it gives a space for people to interpret it in their own ways.
Sure.
Which written word doesn't have. It's straightforward. What
Absolutely.
you read is what you get.
Musician at heart, marketeer in mind. But listen, the heart and the mind sometimes comes together. No, I mean, were you tempted to think about the sales figures and all of that? This is the book, by the way, Swallowed by the Sea. Were you tempted to think about all of that, or was this just from the heart completely?
No, for the first time, I'm not giving it away for free. So I'm not worried about the sales numbers,
Sure.
but you get it only when you pay for it.
Yeah.
And normally, it's sad, but it's true that, a book is probably as expensive or as cheap as a cup of coffee in India.
That's true.
Like in a Starbucks, right?
Yeah.
So I say, hey, either you get a coffee or you get my book. So
Absolutely.
It's up to you.
And you get to keep one a little longer.
Yeah, of course.
In your body and your mind, of course.
Yeah. So
you're also a musician, Sanjit, which means that rhyme, flow, meter, everything is very important to you. Did that also help in the writing? Because you are a songwriter. What's the difference between writing poetry for the page and writing poetry for the stage?
I'd like to spend some time on this. It's
Yes,
important
please.
because this
Absolutely.
is a transition from music to poetry.
Absolutely.
I've always written songs.
Yeah.
But songs, when you put them in tempo, there's a certain structure.
Exactly.
So you're constrained by a certain framework. You can break it. I'm not saying, but there is a certain framework which you follow. Poetry doesn't have any framework, right? So you're much more free to play around. Second thing which I realize is that I've always been singing. Songs or singing is entertainment for people. They do not remember lyrics. They remember 2 lines of a song. So if you're trying to save yourself,
For sure.
or if you're trying to put yourself out there, whether it's honesty, authenticity, vulnerability. Vulnerability is very, very core to everything that I've written. So people never heard what I wrote when I
Sure.
was singing it.
That's a great point, actually.
Right? So I have been performing for 20 years now,
Yeah.
but nobody knows my story. They know Sanjit Phukan as a performer.
Sure.
Right?
Sure. And the band plug also, late too soon.
Late too soon,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
I'm only there because they're there.
Absolutely.
But this is where the real story is, right? So this is me, this is my life, this is in depth, the struggles, the glory, everything. The black and the blue and the tears and the glory, all of it.
Absolutely, and the black and the blue and the tears and the glory and the heartrending loss and the sheer unalloyed joy, all of it, captured in the words.
Yeah, but that's the point. Is that anybody who reads it gets it. It's not like songs, because you read and you get what you read.
Swallowed by the Sea is what we're talking about. It's a collection of stories and poetry. Life unfiltered, scarred, amazingly beautiful is what the cover says. It's also got a wonderful, wonderful photograph. You want to tell us about? I know that creation is important to you. I know that you spent time thinking about the way the book would look as well. You want to take us through that a little?
Photograph, of course, all credit goes to my very, very good friend, my brother in a way, Kunal Chandra. He has clicked that picture.
Of course.
This is in Lake Como. He's an excellent photographer.
Absolutely.
So I was flatmates with him for about a year and a half. That is where all the design work and everything came through.
Right.
All the photographs inside are mine. Rest is my original content.
Sure.
In terms of spending time for it to look good, is that as an independent publisher, what I realize is that when you're independent, a lot of people just want to get their books published. That is all it matters. That I have published a book.
It's a box to tick.
It's a box to tick. For me, it was not a box to tick. Being in communication, being in the line of creativity for so long and storytelling, every page matters. The way it feels in your hand matters.
Of course.
Right. That's why the hardbound. That's why the picture. So everything is very well thought through. So it's not just the poetry, but it's the whole process of making it look like something which is absolutely international in terms of quality, at least.
Sure. It's also, there's another question that's popped into my head, considering, we talk about the democratization of art right now. Anyone who wants to has many more means to sort of, express themselves as far as art is concerned. Is that not a bit of a double-edged sword, considering that there's so much out there that to cut the clutter, the whispers probably sometimes get lost in the cacophony, does it not? So while publishing the book, what was the thought?
See, for me, I constantly come back to the point of view that I was trying to save myself, right? So the core thought of the book is about vulnerability.
Sure.
Realizing that I'm completely flawed, imperfect. This is where I stand. I've done great work. I have been equally bad. I'm all grey. For some, I'm a complete rascal. For some, I'm as good as being God, for example.
Sure.
So what I'm saying is, these are two shades which I was not willing to accept for many, many years. You would ideally want to be on one side of the story.
As do we all, actually. This is a journey that we take.
But the moment I could say that, hey, I'm, this is who I am and my life is equally imperfect, you stand out. Being authenticity or being authentic helps you stand out. So in this plethora of content that you're talking about, I don't think people are vulnerable.
Also, there's another question that you are a marketeer, so you know the insides and out of the business, so to speak, of the profession. Right now, there's also this this notion abroad that that sometimes marketing and the hype takes over the content itself. It'd be lovely to know your views on that.
Ogilvy had said this, that marketing can only fail something.
Yeah,
some bad product fail quicker.
Good advertising makes a bad product fail faster. Absolutely,
I should have known that line by heart. But anyways, the ethos is, you can do all great marketing work. If your product at its core is not good, it won't survive.
So you believe in the primacy of content, Sanjay?
I do. I do. So, it also the fact that, how authentic are you when you're doing this? Everybody has right to content. Everybody has right to expression.
Sure.
As long as, and I'm no one to judge.
Absolutely.
That expression.
None of us, actually.
Right. So what I'm saying, as long as it's coming absolutely authentically from the core of your heart, it's all good.
Sure. Unvarnished honesty.
Yeah, but it has to be completely honest.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. Sometimes we lie to ourselves.
See, in social media and all of that, we are mostly lying to ourselves. So I wanted to present a perspective to the people that, hey, you follow me, you see me.
Sure.
I'm in this nice job. I do music. I'm traveling the world. But there is an equally difficult side. There's an equally, there's a side which has not been easy to manage.
Absolutely.
And I could never manage it with somebody or something else.
Absolutely.
Finally could manage it only with myself.
the vulnerability of it all is what it says in the in the foreword of the book itself. Where we were talking about this a while back as well, about how you have to be literally emotionally naked to understand your vulnerabilities. No, so Sanjit.
Yeah, see, first things first in this journey is that you have to be brutally honest with yourself. Brutally honest. There is no way out. Honest is not the word. Brutally honest is the word.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you have to be completely naked in front of the mirror, saying that, this is who I am. Right?
Absolutely.
And then you would realize that there are shades. It's actually all grey. There is no black and white.
Sure.
I've done miserable things to people.
Yeah.
People have done miserable things to me. I've gone to parties, made people laugh. I've sung songs till 4 o'clock at night. Happiest parties of my life. I've come back home and cried in desperation.
Sure.
So, it's all there. You cannot accept just one side of your life. The day you accept your life in totality, that this is a whole, right? That is where, you start. And one point which during COVID, divorce, breakup and all of that, is that we do not matter. We are cosmically, completely inconsequential. What are we? We're dying. We are all dying, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that itself
should
make you feel that there is a bit of love in things we do. It's so the starting point is that we don't matter.
I was watching this absolutely incredible bit of video of Martin Scorsese, where he's doing this furious hand flap and he's saying, shame them into accepting what art is. I have a problem with the word content. He said words to this effect, saying that content is for commercial use. Content is when you sell something. It is not art. You're selling a product and suddenly beside it you have an Orson Welles. I mean, how is that? There is art comes from the heart and content is different. You have views, considering that you've also, I know that you've considered your music and your work with the book art. What are your views?
See, for me, it cannot be commercial in my mind. The reason I do it,
and I think we are at pains to say that these are personal opinions. This is not a value judgment at all.
There is no judgment at all.
Absolutely.
As I said, I have no right to anybody's creation or expression.
Nor do I.
Right?
Absolutely.
So
completely.
My thing is an obligation to the society and tell you how. This is my way of doing good. It comes from a position of conflict or dark. You create art out of it. When people read it, it is always positive.
Sure.
This transference of energy from negativity to positivity through art is in a way magical. It's a superpower. I'm obligated to do more. Because when people write to me that, hey, I relate. Somebody told me that you wrote a book which I should have written for myself. That is the relatability that's the human connection of what you do, right? So for me, that's the obligation. That's art. But first is to save myself. I only wrote the book after it started doing my pieces started doing well in Instagram. I thought that it's now out for people.
Sure.
But it was to basically save myself.
Absolutely. And that's glorious self-expression. You need to know what you're doing. And Swallowed by the Sea is the name of the book. Life unfiltered, scarred, amazingly beautiful. Sanjit Phukan, this was actually, like you said, unfiltered, scarred and amazingly beautiful, conversation. So thank you very much for giving us that privilege.
Thanks a lot, guys.
The book is available for you to buy, of course. It's called Swallowed by the Sea, as I told you already. Might be nice to turn the pages and see if some of our experiences are reflected in the words that Sanjit has used. Sanjit Phukan is available as Sanjit Phukan on Instagram. I am Sarthak from Radio on Instagram as well. It'd be nice to know what you think. What we are thinking is taking a break and coming right back right here on 94.3 Radio 1. Sanjit, this has been an absolute joy.
Thanks a lot, Sarthak.